Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian. Alright, so I've got a little challenge for the community today. Alright, so I expect that if you're watching this, you're probably into records. It's a very good chance you're into metal. You know, I talk about jazz and reggae and things like that sometimes, but this is, you know, largely, it's probably about half metal, this channel, right? Maybe 2/3 even at this point, so you're probably a metal collector if you're watching. So I'm going to set this up for you. So, you probably know that the best way to get valuable records is to buy a bunch of records and then get old. Okay? Like, just sort of like, and here's a perfect example of it. Okay, this Saber single, City in Flames, or City of Flames, actually that was the B-side, Stand and Fight. I'll play this in a minute, but I want to show it. Apparently some of these came with a sleeve. I don't have one, but I bought this at Chris's Warped Records in Lakewood, Ohio. And I think I paid $0.25 for it, like out of a budget bin, you know. Sort of, it was one of those things where, it's just $0.25, what the hell. And I listened to it, didn't think much of it. A few years went by, I listened to it again. I really liked it, actually, at that point. Then I went and looked for it online, you know, more years later, and it was worth, like, ridiculous amounts of money, okay? It's kind of obscene. Apparently if you have one of the sleeved ones, it's even more so, but, you know, I grew up in Cleveland mostly, and I never saw a sleeve on this thing, and they had a lot of copies of this in the dump section there at one point, so if I'd been a little more forward-looking, I probably would have bought a few, but, you know, that's not really the way life works most of the time, right? Alright, well, I'm here to hype another band today, because there's a local band here in Charleston. They made a demo that I talked about a few months ago, maybe a year ago already, but I don't think it's much more than that. And the band is called Interceptor. Okay, we're going to listen to them right now. This is what we were just listening to, actually, this Lord Rear 45. Another one I bought, not for $0.25, but well, it seems to become a lot more sought after than it was when I got my copy, so. Alright, so check it out. This is a relatively new release. This is the Interceptor single, Witch's Dance. Okay, now look at that cover. You know that's something you want, right? Nice private looking label there. And here we go. Check out this band photo. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and start this rather than keep everyone waiting. Look at that. You gotta love that shit, right? I mean, this is what it's about. So, yeah, this is I think it's brand new. It hasn't been out more than a month or so, something like that. So it depends on how you define brand new, okay? I got this at a shop here locally. There are a couple shops around town that have it. Oh, shit. And it's fucking fantastic. All right? Now, here's the challenge. This record's a little bit on the pricey side, okay? I sort of balked at it at first because my local shop, they wanted close to, it was like $18, and like on their Bandcamp, it's like $22.50. And that's kind of a lot for a 45, right? I mean, even now, you know, a new 45 is usually like $10 to $12, something like that. Apparently the cost on it was $15, or close to it. You know, this is sort of secondhand, but from the guy who got it from the band who sold it to me. Listen how fucking good this is. So I went and checked out the Bandcamp, because I was trying to figure out why it cost so much, right? And I figured it must have been a really tiny run. It can't have been more than 100 or something, right? I went and looked at it. It's fucking 50. There are 50 copies of this out there, apparently. So it's a little bit high, but if you're a metal collector, $20 really isn't too much to spend on a 45 that's really good. And fucking listen to this. They're definitely Venom fans, right? But they totally have that like early black metal sound. Not like you know, post-90s black metal, but like Venom. You know, Hellhammer, I'm sure they're listening to Destruction, that kind of shit. These are just some local fucking kids, man, who decided to get together and make a fucking record. And they're fucking great. So the challenge is, if you're watching this, what I want you to do, And you know, you don't have to do what I'm telling you to, obviously. But what I would like to see you do is go out and buy a fucking copy of this Interceptor single. Okay? Because I'm thinking it's a 50 run, alright? And like, this isn't a big channel or something. I get like 5, 6, maybe 700 views on a video. But if a relatively small percentage of my viewers go out and buy this record, I mean, we could sell, what, half the run pretty easily? And I just think it'd be cool if all of a sudden they start getting fucking orders from all over the country for this fucking 45. If you're so inclined, you know, in the little note on Bandcamp, whatever, you can tell them the Metal Theologian said hello. But I don't even care if you do that or not. The point is to fucking sell all of these. Okay, we want them to run out of this fucking 45. Because if they run out of this 45, it's that much faster, it'll be like a $300 record that we'll be able to fucking flip on Discogs, right? Obviously, I'm joking. I'm keeping this bad boy forever. Listen how fucking good this is. There's some local kids, man. They're kicking my ass. I fucking love it. And I mean, this is really the spirit of it, right? It's just some kids, you know, who got together and did their thing. They're like, this is what we want to sound like, and they're fucking going for it, you know? What's that drum sound? I mean, that description right there, that pretty much applies to like every record that I buy. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're on here, you know I'm not really talking about the new Metallica or the new Judas Priest very much. Pretty much everything I talk about, even if it's 30 years old, at the time, they were just some fucking kids who got together and did the best they could. Well, that's what Interceptor is now. So go out and buy their fucking record and support a local band in Charleston, South Carolina, which is not exactly a hotbed of metal. I get this fucking Interceptor, Witch's Dance record. I'll put a link in the description of the Bandcamp, and if I forget, someone please tell me, because I want to like put it there. Alright, so that's the challenge, alright? You think we can hack that? It's pretty easy, man. Last time I did a contest, the only time I did a contest, you had to grow a mustache to enter, right? This is easier than growing a mustache. And your wife will probably be less pissed about you spending 20 bucks on a 45 than she would be about you growing a mustache. So there you go, man. It's easier on you domestically, too. Oh, by the way, the other way you can tell that the band is young. I went on to think I was going to order a t-shirt. And the sizes they had on the things, like small, medium, large, and extra large. Like my brother in Christ. An XL is a little tight on me these days. I really kind of like the extra room I get in a 2XL. That tells me that their expectations as far as people are going to be selling it to are slimmer and probably younger than we are. So, whatever though, man. Fuck it, I'm sure they'll take the fans wherever they'll get them. And they've made one right here, so cheers to Interceptor. Alright, so that's the challenge. I'm going to flip this, I guess, and show a couple more 45s, maybe a couple more records. I don't even know what I'm going to do, because I'm barely 8 minutes into the video, and I want to make it worth your while to, like, click the fucking thing, right? I feel like a half hour or so seems to be pretty good length for my, you know, weekly or so videos. Hopefully they spelled witches on that, too. Witch stance. Alright, the B-side is Hatred. Alright, let's talk about this one. So I've been listening to a lot of Italian bands lately, right? Sort of similar sort of spirit as this, although maybe not quite as, you know, venom-y as these guys. And listen to that riff. Kind of sounds like Welcome to Hell, doesn't it? Whatever, man. They made it their own. I love it. This is kind of my favorite this week out of the Italian shit that I've been going for. And this is Wyvern. I don't know if I've seen anyone else talk about this band in the community, but, because this isn't like one of the big, like, super sought-after Italian rarities, and there aren't that many of those, and people aren't really, you know, other than sort of a couple of us, you know, the Italian bands seem to sort of fall through the cracks, but, this is the Red Flame of Pain by Wyvern. And first of all, look at how good that cover is, man. And second of all, look at these fucking guys. Right? I mean, that fucking guy right there, he looks like he probably wrote the song Adolescent Sex, right? This is a fantastic record, though, man. I'm telling you. It's last time I checked, which admittedly has been a while, but this wasn't like one of the like super expensive like mega grails from Italy or anything like that. But it's just a really cool record, man, with good songs. My favorite one is actually the signature song, Wyvern. That's an awesome hook that I'd actually play for you, but I'm too busy hyping Interceptor right now. And, yeah, man, this thing just smokes. It's not, like, particularly proggy. It's a little, it's not Italian. But, like, the extent of its Italianness is probably shit like spelling prophecy that way. With an F, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit eccentric, but it's not like a fucking batshit. Like, what the fuck were they doing? One of those kinds of Italian records, right? And, they're not called Bazooka. They don't sound like Death SS or anything like that either. It's just pretty straight ahead heavy metal band, man. A little bit on the fast side, but not a speed metal band. Just a really cool band with really good songs, man. Fucking check it out if you get a chance. The Red Flame of Pain. I'm going to try and show this again without the color getting weird. I got a little bend in mine there. The Red Flame of Pain. Fucking fantastic record, man. Been all over that shit. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hey, here's another one I got just kind of recently, actually. This is a Belgian band called NH3, which I guess is a chemical formula for something. Someone's going to tell me in the comments now, but it's all good. I don't really care that much. And it's called Eclosion, or Eclosion, probably, because the shit's in French. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, actually, I'm positive they're from Belgium. And eclosion is a word in English too, as far as I know, so there we go. This is a little bit of a weird record. It's only 2 songs. And with only 2 songs on a 12-inch like this, and 8 and 6-minute run times, you'd think it would be super proggy. And the songs are long and have a lot of parts, but they sort of do it in a way that's more like, I mean, the first analogy that comes to mind is Orion, which I hate to use because I don't like that very much. I kind of think it's the turd. That's what I think should have ended up on the cutting room floor when they were doing Master of Puppets, right? But, Call of Cthulhu has this real sort of like proggy and sort of epic feel, and Orion kind of doesn't so much, in my estimation. Like, Orion is more like, it stays decidedly metal. There's a lot of soloing, but there are different parts and just a lot of riffs in there. And that's kind of how NH3 feels. So, it's not the greatest record of all time. But it's a pretty cool record. And what the hell, something? I'm going to throw on the Wyvern one instead. Because I feel like it. Yeah, NH3 is another one. I mean, I think they're pretty obscure, but that's because I don't think anyone really cares about them. So, you listen to it, you can see why. It's not the be-all and end-all of heavy metal or anything like that. But it's a fun record. I've got no shit to talk about them, And I kind of have a soft spot for for them singing in French, too. Alright, this is the Wyvern record. Maybe I'll play Saber, I didn't forget, but my mind just sort of went other places, These videos tend to be a little bit meandering. But I'm not forgetting about Interceptor. Go out and buy this thing. You can pause the video, Sounds a little bit rough, Let's talk about this one. So believe it or not, this is kind of a new one to me. I've had the first Vicious Rumors for kind of a long time. That's when I remember seeing this one at Amoeba Hollywood for like, I don't remember what it was. It was more than I felt like spending at the time. I'm like, I paid more to get it now, but oh, well, that's life. You know, I was also out of work when I saw it, so that's my excuse, right? But it took me, you know, about 20 years to sort of break down and actually turn up a copy of this bad boy for my own collection. And I gotta say, man, I kind of held this band's name against them for a long time, because Vicious Rumors is kind of a terrible name for a band. The singer kind of sounds Italian, right? Given, like, Italian opera and shit like that, you would think that these Italian bands would have an easier time finding good singers, you know? There's another kind of mediocre, like, kind of nasally guy who sounds like he's straining, but I love it. Like, he's perfect, don't get me wrong, I fucking love it. Anyway, Digital Dictator. Yeah, I was really impressed with this record, man. I kind of thought it was going to be more like a straight, like, sort of speed metal record, and it's really not. It's really kind of, I mean, I don't want to say power metal, but, you know, it's fast, but it definitely has some of those epic leanings, and I wonder how much of that is just because they have Carl Albert singing on it, and he kind of has that sort of a voice, you know? For me, it harkens back to Villain, because I love the Villain record, and that's sort of, you know, the Carl Albert be-all, end-all in my head, you know? Yeah, but this is a really cool record, man, and I really, don't make the mistake that I made, sort of snoozing on this bad boy, because just because they, you know, didn't do a very good job naming their band doesn't mean that, like, whatever should have been, whatever effort that they, didn't put into naming their band, they put into making the record and writing the songs. Because the songs on this thing are really good. It's not too many solos, there are no boring instrumentals or any shit like that. It's just a solid fucking record. You can listen to all the way through and really enjoy, you know? Digital Dictator, yeah. I'd say it sounds a little bit dated, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's more apropos now than ever, you know? This is 1987, though. There's a shrapnel press. That's actually another thing that didn't really work in their favor. Is shrapnel records kind of tended to be turds. But if you go way back to early on in the history of my channel, I sort of, you know, start a little, I mean, friendly, but I started a little bit of friendly beef with some of the other guys who are making metal videos by shitting on the Shrapnel label. Because the Shrapnel records tended to be sort of focused on these shredder guitar players. You know, they're all sorts of, like, you know, Richie Kotzen and shit like that solo things they put out. You know, they put out, and you know, because of that shit, I sort of snoozed on those Chastain records for a long time, because, like, he has fucking records under the name David T. Chastain, and then just Chastain the band, and then CJSS, where the C is Chastain, and then the other guys. I'm like, fuck you, man, and your fucking ego, you know? I don't need this bullshit shredding. So, some of that early Chastain stuff is actually pretty good, you know? But I also kind of think to a certain degree, like, just that I'm able to find something to like about most of these records. I'm really easy to please when it comes to metal, in case I haven't figured that shit out. But that's because all the little warts and all the things that, like, hurt a record, or maybe even make a record bad, are kind of the things that make them unique, too, and kind of the things that make them special, you know? Like, if this guy had, like, a real, like, had, I don't know, like a Joey Tempest or like Don Dokken caliber singer fronting them, they would sound that much less eccentric. You know what I mean? They would be that much less interesting for it. Doesn't mean they wouldn't be good, you know? But the fact that this guy kind of sounds like he's straining and struggling a little bit and shit, that gives this record a little bit more of its own sort of personality. You know what I mean? So yeah. You know, it was really sort of an entry point for all this kind of shit was, you know, I used to hate Dio. I just thought Dio was a fucking twerp, and, like, his whole, like, I wasn't on board with, like, his whole, like, deal. I didn't like his singing or anything like that. And then one day when I was, like, in my 20s or something, I realized that all the things I hated about Dio were actually the things that made him awesome. And that's kind of the attitude that I bring to this shit anymore, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously I love Dio, right? I mean, I've hyped enough of his fucking records over the course of this channel, especially those Rainbow records, actually. Those are the ones I really love. See, this is pretty fast. It sort of chugs, but it's more like sort of a chug and more like sort of a, not really a gallop, more of like a chug, but without going sort of full-on speed metal, you know? That's kind of what I was trying to articulate with these guys. Anyway. What else do we have? That's why I have a bunch of records sitting here that I don't really feel ready to talk about yet. Here's one I grabbed recently, though. So I showed the second Aquila record not too long ago, and someone said, oh, the first one's actually a lot better. It's more sort of snotty little kid shit. And it's pretty much true. I think I like this one more than the second one. First of all, look at that cover. I mean, how good is that? I mean, I can't pass on that shit, right? You know, not the greatest songwriting on this thing, but it's kind of more sort of straight ahead type of metal, more like sort of, you know, some high school kids getting together and playing some metal, and not so much sort of going into speed metal like they were on the second record. Now, I like that second record a lot, don't get me wrong. I like this record a lot, too. I like the fact that they're a three-piece, by the way. I always kind of have a soft spot for three-piece fans. Maybe it's my inner ZZ Top fan, or my inner Interceptor fan. Because they're a three-piece, too. You see? Go buy that fucking record, man. But yeah, this record's just kind of dirty and rough, and not too bad on the hooks, actually. You know, it's hookier than the second record. And yeah, is it one that you want to sort of drop everything and run out and find? Maybe not. Like, it's not all that shocking that this hasn't been reissued, as far as I know. But if you see it cheap, man, it's fucking fun. And that's what I value in a record, man. Yeah, here's a weird one. I was talking about this on Metallurgy a couple weeks ago, but I just played this one again. This is the Holocaust record that's like the odd man out, okay? Like, if you like the Nightcomers and the live album, as I did when I found this in a shop in the late 80s, and you go check this one out, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Is that even the same band? Because it sounds completely different. It has this really sort of like... A lot of it's just the electronic drums on it, okay? The guy's acoustic and electronic drums, right? And they're playing as a three-piece, interestingly, too. John Mortimer was kind of the main guy in the early stuff, too. But this is completely different. This is, I want to say 87. It might be as late as 88, but I'm pretty sure it's 87. And this one just has this really weird sort of like sort of hollow, like a couple people in a really big room sound. It's a short record. The songs have, especially this Three Ways to Die one, which is sort of the magnum opus of like 11.5 minutes on the second side. It has a lot of parts, a lot of ideas. And I couldn't really call this thing completely successful as far as what it's trying to accomplish, but I'm not sure I completely get what it's trying to accomplish either. It's a really interesting record. Again, if you want something that's going to sound like the Nightcomers, stay away from it because you're not going to like it. But if you like those records, even if you didn't like those, you just want to hear something that's kind of weird and unusual and doesn't quite sound like anything else, this Holocaust record is really something. The Sound of Souls. I actually bought this in like 1990, I think. I bought this last time I visited Germany, actually. That's when I got it. I went back to visit some people after I moved back here from there. And I just bought it because it was a Holocaust record. And I kind of brought it home and went, what the fuck, you know? But I listened to it a couple times and I was like, you know, that's really interesting. I kind of like that, you know? And, you know, that was about 30 years ago. And I still kind of respond to it the same way now. You know, like I said, I'm not completely sure I understand it, but I kind of appreciate it for that. You know what I mean? Yeah, what the hell? Let's go with this one, too. The fucking price sticker on it. Yeah, this is like a sleeper of a fucking Manowar record, man. I actually pulled this out after talking about underrated record. Well, not underrated, but shorthanding it. Overshadowed records on Metallurgy a couple weeks ago. I pulled this out to listen to again. And I swear, this is like the forgotten Manowar record. I tend to think of the first three, and then like Fighting the World On. This one sort of slips into that crack there, but this is really a fantastic record in its own right. Even a song like All Men Play on 10, which is exactly the sort of cornball song title that would have put me off when I was in my teens. But that song smokes, man. It rocks. It has like this real sort of anthem like feel to it. And what can I say? It's not really any cornier than anything else. And Guyana, Cult of the Damned is like this big sort of epic about drinking the Kool-Aid at the end of side 2, you know? And all the way through, man, it's just great songs. And this record feels a lot shorter than it really is because just it's one of those that leaves you wanting more, you know? Which is what a good record does as far as I'm concerned, so... Yeah, if you're into Manowar, don't sleep on this record. If you're not into Manowar, maybe don't start with All Men Play on 10, because that might put you off. Just like I wouldn't advise you to start with Blow Your Speakers. But you can start with any other fucking song on this record. Because the shit is heavy, and it's epic, and it's big and fat. And I love that about it, man. Fucking Manowar. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll put on that Saber record to sort of close things out here. So I sort of teased it at the beginning of the video. Yeah. It's funny, on Discogs it says these records were only sold at this one record store in Cleveland, and that is in fact where I bought mine. So, I don't know how many of them have gotten around, but yeah, City of Flames. On the B-side is Stand and Fight. And that's really about all I know about this band and this record. Right there. Like I said, I got it because it was so cheap. I kind of couldn't resist. I think I got it at the same time I got the Shadow of Fear 45. Which was kind of a cool, like, local Cleveland band, Shadow of Fear. They made an EP that was, I don't love it, but it was interesting. But the 45 was 2 covers, and like one of them was In the Flesh by Blondie, and the other was, I think it was Jailhouse Rock. It was either Jailhouse Rock or Heartbreak Hotel, or there's some Elvis song of that caliber. And I was sort of like, what the fuck are you guys doing, man? Alright, so this is Saber, City of Flames. Actually, here's one more I'll talk about real quick then while this is playing. This is actually ex-Militia. Like, Mike Solis of Militia went to this band after Militia split up. And this, I think these are just demos. Yeah, 2 demos, one from 87, one from 1990. And this record came out on Steel Legacy out of Greece. Kind of a long time ago at this point. Probably 15 years ago, something like that. This isn't quite as epic as the cover might lead you to believe. But it has those leanings. It's probably about as epic as Militia, even though the sound is different. But I would say, like, if you took the speed out of Militia and replaced it with epicness, this is probably as much an epic metal record as the Militia record is a speed metal record. Okay? Which is to say, the roots are there, but it doesn't quite go there. It sort of goes into its own area, right? That's kind of how I describe Oblivion Night. This is a really cool record. It's an interesting record, too, you know? Not interesting weird like the Holocaust record. This is just like a record that bears a few repeated listens, you know? It's not too long, as I show you the track list there. Yeah. And the cover art's pretty cool, isn't it? Awesome. Alright. Well, I think it's going to about do that. Once more, don't snooze on the challenge. Now, if you watch the rest of this to the end of this, and it's like totally spaced out on what I said at the beginning, go out and snag a copy of this Interceptor record. It's not a contest, but there is a prize. The prize is a fucking fantastic 45. And what are we doing here if we're not looking for great records, right? Yeah. So go out and buy this. Let's see if we can sell, I don't know, as much of their fucking run as we can. I'd love it if they sold out. But if we can buy up half the run or something like that, I'll be pretty fucking proud, so. And you'll all be happy too. Like I said, you got to hear it before. It's great. So you know I'm not leading you astray. If you listened to it and you thought it was shit, don't buy it. Alright. That's Saber rules and Interceptor rules. Take care. Thanks for watching.